The search to find the next head coach for the New York Giants starts now, and on today's video, we're going to go over 20 names that I think the New York Giants will be interested in. Before we do that, though, if you want John Mara and the Giants to get this next head coach hire right, hit that thumbs up icon for me right now. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. 20 names that could be Brian Daboll replacements and head coach candidates for the New York Giants. I've tiered this out into a couple of different ways and a couple of different clusters, if you will. Let's start with coaches that are currently employed by other NFL teams that might just get fired and might be on the hot seat. Let's start with Mike Tomlin, the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I talked to my guy Jack Sperry, who hosts the Steelers channel here at Chat Sports, and he told me, look, I think there is a chance that Mike Tomlin does get fired. And we have heard over the last couple of off seasons where the Steelers have come up short of their ultimate goal that Tomlin could be on the hot seat. I'll just say this. If the Steelers fire Mike Tomlin, the New York Giants should do whatever it takes to hire Tomlin. Another coach to keep an eye on that it sounds like is on the hot seat is Kevin Stefanski, the head coach for the Cleveland Browns. An offensive guy. He's worked with some really good quarterbacks in the NFL before. He's a two-time coach of the year. And I believe if he is fired by the Cleveland Browns, he should be at the tippy top of the list for the New York Giants. Obviously, he needs to be fired. Doesn't sound like it's the craziest thing in the world. He would definitely be at the top of my list. Let's go to John Harbaugh, the head coach for the Baltimore Ravens. Like Mike Tomlin, I will reiterate this. If the Ravens fire John Harbaugh, John Mara should be doing whatever it takes to make him the next head coach of this football team. He is a CEO. He is a proven winner. He is a Super Bowl winner, and he would bring a much-needed culture to this football team. In my dream list, Matt LaFleur, the head coach for the Green Bay Packers. There's been some weird internet rumors from prominent talking heads that LaFleur could be on the hot seat, and if things go south this year with the Green Bay Packers, he could be fired. And I am praying things go south with the Green Bay Packers. And I am praying that LaFleur gets fired, because if he does, he will be at the top of my list. Two other coaches that I think everybody should be keeping on their radar. Some outside-the-box legends that are a little bit older at this point. What about Nick Saban? He quit coaching college because he said he did not love NIL. Can he still coach? I think so. Would he get it right this time in the NFL? I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world. He's a culture setter. He's an organization builder. I don't hate it. And Bill Belichick. I know a lot of people are going to push back on this. I think there's some factors in his life that are taking his eyes off the goalpost. Things would need to change for me to seriously want him, but I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world to think, with where the New York Giants are at right now, which is rock bottom, that John Mara picks up the phone, calls the former great defensive coordinator of the New York Giants and says, Bill Belichick, come save the New York Giants. So, some other candidates, guys that when I first hear their name, I say, no, but maybe, but no, but maybe. Lane Kiffin right now is the betting favorite to be the next head coach of the New York Giants. I love that Lane Kiffin loves Jackson Dart. I love that Lane Kiffin knows Jackson Dart. Probably better than every coach in America right now. Is Lane Kiffin ready to be an NFL head coach again? Or is he just a college guy? I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. I'm just not sure it's the best one either. I know a lot of people want to see Jon Gruden as the next head coach for the Giants. Gruden also loves Jackson Dart. Dan Orlovsky on ESPN, he even mentioned that the New York Giants could look to go and pursue Jon Gruden. I think that was more of thoughts that he had that he would do, but it is a name. He's a hot, sexy name at this point. I think there is enough evidence to show, though, that Jon Gruden did not do a good job in his most recent stint with the Las Vegas Raiders, and that should be enough to keep the Giants away, in my opinion. But I know a lot of people like him. I love Jon Gruden. I love hearing him talk football. He's a football sicko. I don't know on that one. I already can see the people in the comments typing, but Marshall, what about Antonio Pierce? He was a Giant. He's a defensive guy. I have no interest in Antonio Pierce being the next Giants head coach. I have no interest in him being the next Giants defensive coordinator. I also feel that same way about Rex Ryan, a name that I have been asked about multiple times. I have no interest in Rex Ryan being the head coach of the Giants. I have no interest in Rex Ryan being the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. So let's actually lock in here, and let's talk about some serious candidates. I do think Lane Kiffin will get an interview. I don't know if he's at the top of my list. Again, these aren't just my lists. These are me reaching out to people, hearing things, and putting together a list and trying to get all my bases covered. But I will say this. If I had to hire a head coach today to be the Giants' next guy, it would be Klint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Something that I am going to prioritize in this hiring cycle is getting a head coach inside the building that can maximize Jackson Dart. We have seen that Klint Kubiak can maximize a quarterback. He is doing so right now with Sam Darnold. That Seattle Seahawks offense is averaging 30.6 points per game, the third most in the National Football League. He was the Minnesota Vikings offensive coordinator in 2021, where they averaged 25 points per game, the 14th most, and last year he was the Saints OC, and I thought he did a pretty good job before the injuries started to stack up. I think there's a stat that they scored more points in the first 2 weeks than any team in the NFL. Something that I would think appeals to the New York Giants is that he is the son of Super Bowl winning head coach Gary Kubiak. That NFL bloodline, I think, matters to the New York Giants. I also love that he has been in offenses with Justin Jefferson. He's been in offenses with Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I think that he could take Malik Neighbors to another stratosphere. He's never been a head coach in the National Football League. A little bit of a worry for me. He's never been a head coach in college. A little bit of a worry for me. But I think he might be the best offensive coordinator in the NFL right now. He's shown the ability to maximize a quarterback and a weapon. And, I am definitely thinking about him. Let's go to a defensive coordinator. Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. He has that Packers unit right now humming. And what he has mastered, I would say, is using all the chess pieces that the Green Bay Packers have on the defensive line and getting the most out of him. The Green Bay Packers are allowing less than 21 points per game, the ninth best scoring defense in the NFL. He was the Boston College head coach from 2020 to 2023, and Peter Schrager, who covers the NFL for ESPN and has a very good relationship with Joe Schoen, that is well documented, tweeted this out today saying 2 names with strong New Jersey or Giants connections I'd start keeping an eye on as the New York Giants start this thorough search. Jeff Hafley, Packers D coordinator, a New Jersey native, and was the head coach at Boston College. He also mentioned Steve Spagnuolo, former New York Giants defensive coordinator, a legend. Look, if he wants to leave the Kansas City Chiefs and put his hat back into the pool of being a head coach, he is someone I would absolutely be interested in. Didn't feel like I needed to spend that much time on Steve. We all know who he is. We all know what he does, and he would absolutely get an interview from me if I was running this head coach search. Who is Jeff Hafley? Here is his coaching history. Here is what he's done in football. This is a guy that's been a head coach in college before. They didn't win all that many games, but he is a defensive mastermind. He was the co-defensive coordinator for Ohio State in 2019. Spent time with the San Francisco 49ers. Spent time with the Cleveland Browns, the Bucks. Also was a DB coach at Rutgers. Still a young guy. He is a motivator. He is a defensive mastermind. And it seems like everybody on the Green Bay Packers absolutely loves him. I know this name is going to cause people to be upset. And look, I'm not advocating for Mike McCarthy to be the next head coach of the New York Giants. But I believe that there is a world where the New York Giants want a an experienced head coach, maybe a Super Bowl winning head coach. And they also want an offensive mind to go with Jackson Dart. Well, Mike McCarthy, he answers every single one of those questions. 174 and 112-2 as an NFL head coach. He was the head coach that won Super Bowl 45 with the Green Bay Packers, and he's an offensive mind with a lot of experience. I reached out to my good friend Tom Downey, who works here at Chat Sports, covers the Cowboys, and I said, what do you think of McCarthy? He said, it's a safe hire, might be enough to help develop Dart some. I will say, Dak and McCarthy didn't always have the best relationship, and I think his offense is outdated. Bill will run a pro organization, and he did a good job at keeping them healthy over the course of the season. And they did win 12 games 3 years in a row. Look, I don't love the idea of hiring Mike McCarthy. I also don't really just hate it. He'd get an interview. I'd see what his plans are, but I think there might be better options out there. Let's go to a young defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. That is Jesse Minter. He is a name that is getting a lot of buzz in NFL circles for what he did as the defensive coordinator back in 2022, in 2023 with the Michigan Wolverines, who were national champions, and for what he's doing under Harbaugh in LA as their defensive coordinator. They are allowing just 20.3 points per game, the seventh best scoring defense in the NFL, and at the young age of 42, he would bring a different type of strategy and defensive mastery to this team. If John Mara wants to get back to the Giants' way where they want to build on defense, Jesse Minter is one of the best defensive minds and young defensive minds in the NFL. Spent some time with Vanderbilt back in 2021 as their defensive coordinator and safeties coach. He also spent time with the Baltimore Ravens in 2017 to 2020. So he's learned under both of Harbaugh's. He also was someone that's been a defensive coordinator in college, back with Indiana State and Georgia State. But he made his name as the defensive coordinator for Michigan and now with the Los Angeles Chargers. I've heard that maybe we should keep our eyes on Marcus Freeman, the head coach for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I'll just leave that there. And Dan Lanning is someone that I have always been interested in. I remember I did a video last year about potential Brian Daboll replacements, and Dan Lanning was on my list. I'm a big fan of his. There's been some rumors that maybe he could look to jump to the NFL, a culture setter, someone that knows how to win football games, and a defensive wizard. I would keep your eyes on him. Three other names that are in the NFL at this moment that I think everyone should be looking out for is Brian Flores, the Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator. Joe Schoen actually interviewed him back in January of 2022 to be the head coach for the Giants. Robert Saleh, likes Jackson Dart. He's coached in New York before, didn't have success, but a veteran defensive coordinator that could bring that back to the Giants. And I continue to hear the name Kliff Kingsbury. Not really high on him, but the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator did a really good job with Jane Daniels last year. Had success with Kyler Murray in Arizona. If you want to go young and a flashy name, Kingsbury could maybe be that for you. We've gone over 20 names on today's show. It's your time to sound off in the comment section for me. Who do you want to be the next head coach for our New York Football Giants? Sound off for me. And make sure you are following me on social media. If you made it this far in the video, subscribe, hit that big red subscribe, hit the big thumbs up button, It's been a long day. Type real one down below and give me a follow on social media.